Hello and welcome then to the Sepang International Circuit. You're joining myself, Jack Gorst, and Simon Crafar alongside as ever. And it's day 2 of the Sepang test, and there's a lot to get stuck into already. On just lap 9 of today, Jorge Martin went and set a new all-time lap record. Of course, it's in a test, so it won't stand fully. It has to be done on a Grand Prix weekend, but he did a 57.2 something or other. Incredible lap time, and already I believe we've got about 7 or 8 riders into those 57s as well. It's been staggering the pace that's been out there, and as well, Joan Mir has improved on his qualifying time from here at the GP not too long ago by 6/10 today, so certainly progress there at Honda. But that lap time from Jorge straight away, incredible.
He hits the ground running every day, more or less did the same, surprised everyone with his speed. 10 laps in yesterday morning, and I got to catch up with Gino Borsoi, his team manager. We were hoping to have him as a guest, but he's genuinely sick. Like, he didn't look well, puffy eyes, I think a virus, or he's not feeling well. So, but he did share what they were up to today, and he said the main goal today was to confirm that engine.
Right.
Yesterday, it was less time than usual because the track was quite dirty in the morning from the big storm. By the end of yesterday, they liked the engine. All Ducati riders reported that, but they had to work on the connection, like electronics, make it a little bit smoother connection. But they said it's faster, accelerates better, and braking area is better. All of them said that. So Gino said they wanted to run through and double check before moving on to aero that engine, and he said straight away they confirmed it was better again. So they started on the 23, jumped on the 24 engine, and so it's done and dusted. He's saying that's really good because they're not wasting more tyres and time through the test trying to get confirmation. They're going with it. So Ducati did a good job with that 24 engine.
Well, that's good to hear. And of course, Ducati this year, they have less tyres with these concessions compared to what some of the other manufacturers, well, all of the other manufacturers do. So crucially important for them to get it right. And it does sound like they have. Speaking of the aero stuff on that side, the factory guys are now starting to experiment with that one that Pirro used.
Yes, and it's a combination, I don't know if you agree, but it looks like a combination of the two belly pans that they ran. Remember, Zarco and the Pramac guys spent a lot of time with the Aprilia style belly pan, and before going back to the downdraft one.
Yeah.
This is a mixture of the two, so it's the wide Aprilia style with the downdraft in front of it. Jorge also tried that this morning, and Gino said he didn't like it, so he's gone back to what he was using, but he loves the engine.
Well, very interesting to see what they do think of that aero once they do get onto it and get some proper time on it. Now, we do actually have a few guests for you coming up, and the first of which is Maio Meregali, and I've actually just spotted him. He's in the background, so we'll wander over to Maio, and there's already been really positive signs down at Yamaha this morning. Fabio Quartararo, I think, is top of the speed trap, 338 kilometres an hour, and I think even Alex Rins and Cal Crutchlow were fairly high up there as well. Really positive.
Because I was wondering, sometimes the wherever you would like, Maya, with a nice Yamaha background. Yeah.
Well, we'll wander over here then, shall we?
Yeah, so we're talking, Maya, about, you jump in the middle there, we're talking about the speed trap times, and we know, or you know for a lot of years, that sometimes the speed trap is in an area where the brake marker can affect, and Fabio's very good on the brakes, but all the Yamahas look good. What's your opinion on the speed of the new engine?
Yeah, it's not only the new engine, we also improve the exit with the new aerodynamics. We have less wheeling, the new rear device has less wheeling, so we can get out from the last corner with a bit more acceleration than last year. But also the fact that we have been always very good in braking, and this kind of top speed might be also a bit fake, because also last year Fabio has been always close to the top. And but anyway, having said that, we are quite happy about the step that we have been able to do during this winter time, and we are proving now.
Maio, today it looks like the Yamaha riders have found a direction with aero. We've seen them running kind of the same package across all of them without those side pod wings. Is it you found something that they like and they're kind of happy with it now?
Yeah, basically this is the best compromise, and this is the specification with which we will start the season. And you know, it's always a question of balance. You have to find the good downforce, the less drag, to maximize the top speed and minimize the loss. And this is what we both riders, I mean all the riders, because Carl, Alex and Fabio had the same comments, and for us it has been very important and very also easy to decide with which one we were going to start.
Well, really positive stuff.
One other thing, Mayo, before we let you go, is we know how good, like I mentioned before, Fabio is in the braking area. He always has been really strong. I went out on the shakedown and watched, and I was really surprised how strong Alex looked in the braking area. And I always thought of Alex as more smooth and flowing. I'm sure he is, but you would have seen the data. Is he as strong in the braking area as he looks to the eye?
Yeah, but he said that the braking point is one of the stronger point of our bike, and he's still looking for the limits, and he can always try a bit more. Since Valencia, he jumped on the bike, he felt that the braking was a really strong point of Yamaha, and it was working to get to the limit, because
it's the rider's job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic to hear. Mayo, really appreciate it. I'll let you get back to work, but best of luck for the rest of the test.
Thank you, Mayo.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much. So really interesting then to hear from Mayo that it seems like they found a direction with aero, improved that corner exit, which is something we know there's been a big complaint in recent years. I think back to Andrea Dovizioso famously saying, no, we need to improve the rear grip when he was on that Yamaha a few years ago. So really, really positive to hear there. And I said yesterday, Simon, when you asked me, like, kind of, was it convinced with Yamaha had made a step forward? I think I am starting to be convinced now that they're looking better.
I am. I mean, really, the telltale thing is Fabio's debrief last night.
Yeah, massive.
And he said it is a step in the right direction. He knows that they need more, but if you think about it, they have more time. They have all year that with the new concession rules for the Japanese manufacturers, it's not because they're Japanese, but the two machines at the bottom, you know, taking into account the results, they were given the D class or whatever it's called of the concessions, which means they are allowed one extra aero update, and they're allowed to update the engine during the year, which normally, that's why it's so important, for example, for Ducati to confirm that 24 engine as soon as possible, because they have to push go and hand it into Danny Aldridge, the spec, you know, one cylinder, everything, the valves, and Yamaha and Honda don't have to do that. As long as it's within the rules, they're allowed to keep experimenting during the year, and their first steps are obviously already good. So, and one more thing, like I mentioned yesterday with Massimo Bartolini, and they're saying that he's touching all areas, and that's why they're talking about aero, electronics. The riders mentioned last night they're having a big push in the electronic area.
Yeah, very interesting stuff from Yamaha. Mayo did actually say as well during the team launch that Yamaha will be bringing another spec of engine halfway through the year, so hopefully that's another step forward too. Now we are just wandering up towards the KTM garage because our next guest is Francesco Guidotti, of course, KTM Racing Team Manager. Francesco, thank you for joining us.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I was told by your lovely Sarah, your PR officer, that we're meant to do it over here in front of the nice KTM board. So let's go, and we don't want her mad at us.
No.
Because then we won't get to speak to you again. So let's go wander down here. Where is it? Where's the rider board? Where is it? Oh, well, we've got a nice KTM one here.
We got a backdrop here.
Yep. So, what were you thinking to ask?
Well, Francesco, we've seen in the garage that there's lots and lots of parts, as always, with KTM. We've seen different exhaust, different aero now coming in as well. The thing that interests me is the riders maybe on slightly different scheduling with those parts. We saw Jack yesterday trying the aero, and then Brad today is on it. From their feedback across there, do they kind of have similar feedback, and is it a step forward in that direction?
There's also some back-to-back tests, because the first impression sometimes is different than the real effect of what we test. We also have something that you can see to test. There's quite a lot of items we are checking and double checking. So yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, after the shakedown, we filter, let's say, some parts, and then for these 3 days IRTA test, we go on details and try to set up the bike with a different aero package and electronics, and also an engine that is promising, let's say. Always difficult, because during the test the only reference is the lap time. You don't know exactly what the others are doing in the same condition. For the race, it's everybody at the same time go out, and and it's different, the reference. But yeah, I think we're doing a good job so far. Rider are pretty happy about results. Lap time, Brad's lap time is really promising, let's say, much faster than what we did in the past. So yeah, let's go ahead.
Francesco, can you explain to the listeners how much pressure on teams right now that have to hand in their specification of engine to Danny Aldridge, at Qatar, how much of a priority and how much pressure? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Difficult to explain the pressure, because you feel the pressure a lot. I mean, this test is crucial, this and next one. But I would say more this one, because next one is just a race preparation, more or less.
So the decision is already made by Qatar?
I think so, yeah. Apart very few details, but the leading time to prepare the pass, we are already over the limit. So we will rush a lot for the new parts. Pressure is huge, because whatever you decide now is for the season. So especially the engine. And yeah, that's why be a concession or no concession is a huge difference. But this is the rules, and we stick on it.
Just before I let you go, one more thing. I love hearing you explain things, so I've got one more, and that is electronics. Can you give us a simple explanation, if possible, of why KTM are trying making a big effort, a big push in the electronic area?
I mean, electronic to get all the other area of the bike is crucial, especially to give the rider the throttle in his hand, decide when and how, but at the same time the bike has to be smooth. So it's something that is so important for the feeling of the rider. And we are working also on the speed of the technician, because during practice, if you have to change something, it has to be as quick as possible. So also on this side, we are working a lot.
Francesco, I think the people just saw why I like hearing from you. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you. So very interesting to hear there. Just how important it is, that throttle connection in the hands. We know as well that those exhausts, or at least an educated guess on those exhausts, is that could be to do with the throttle connection as well, with changing that power curve down the bottom. Some people have been saying that maybe
last year they were mentioning that. You did right.
Yeah, with that shorter, lower exhaust is to maybe just make it a little bit smoother down the bottom, because Brad was complaining quite a lot last year is spinning not necessarily right coming out of the corner, but once it's getting a bit more upright. So very interesting to hear there about Francesco saying just how crucial that is.
Yeah, Brad actually stayed on those big long exhausts, not the short ones.
Yeah,
and we've got to head along. We've got a couple of minutes to make it up to Aprilia, which I'm a bit excited about, the next one. But in that couple of minutes, let's talk about. We'll finish up with KTM. Yeah, Francesco's explanation there was really good. Basically, as I did in a tech talk and got the information from a couple of manufacturers, the rider, if you don't give him enough in his hand, meaning he has the ability to make the bike let go, grip, because you need that feeling of letting go and starting to spin. If you don't get that, you think, where is the limit? So they need that, but they don't need to go beyond that and damage the tyre, you know, and keep them safe and keep it smooth. So it's a really fine line they're playing with. And as he said, the other important thing is the response time in the garage, you know, being able to upgrade it. And the way that I've kind of heard it, it sounds like they've started from the beginning, and it sounds like an all new program or something that they're working on. So best of luck there. Should we move on to Honda while we're walking down to
I was going to suggest, it's quite interesting there about the throttle and giving it in the hand, because it makes it sound like a game of scare yourself, but not too much.
Well, if they can't feel the bike slide, they don't know where the limit is, and the rider needs to feel the limit.
Right, Honda then. The statement from today is that Joan Mir into the 57s. He qualified at a 58.4 last year in Q2 at the Malaysian Grand Prix, and has done a 57.8 here already today on day 2. He said yesterday in his debrief, actually Mir yesterday in his debrief was perhaps not quite as positive as I expected. He was extremely reserved and kind of like, okay, you know, we're still far, yeah, there's progress, but it's not the bomb and the explosion of sudden pace that they need. Certainly that will be encouraging, the lap time today. And it seems as though the Honda, as Mir was saying last night as well in his debrief, really good top line speed in the speed traps. We're seeing them all the way at the top, and it seems as though it gets out the corner relatively well, despite them saying that there's still a little bit of a lack of rear grip there.
I am impressed with Joan Zarco, I have
Yeah,
to say,
me too.
because when it was announced Joan Zarco would sign for Honda, and we were in a period where the Honda was struggling so much, I couldn't help but think of his KTM time.
I think everyone did.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, this could go bad, you know, very easily. And it hasn't. Like I mean, I've worked on the team launch with him, got to talk with Joanna, ask him, basically interview him, but also chat to him on the side. He's so positive about it.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I didn't expect it to be at this level already. I'm comfortable on the bike. Like ergonomics, he feels really comfy on it. And just, he's upbeat. He thinks that more is possible than he thought, you know, when he signed the deal. So that sounds great, like really good. And just one other thing before I forget, nosying in the garage this morning when they were warming up, I've kind of figured out what's going on with them, the factory Honda and also LCR. They have the bike, I recognise from Valencia. It's like their first effort at the 2024 machine. But on the other side, all riders same, on the other side of the garage, the other rider's bike is the upgraded version again, which I imagine is engine, because they have mentioned that in that, but it has a swing arm as well, which is the easy way to recognise that it's a 24 bike.
Yeah.
And that swing arm is not a Calyx one, it's back to HRC. They've run that Calyx aluminium swing arm all last year and on the first version of the 24, but now they've got an HRC one. It's easy to spot because it's got two bolt like threaded holes for screwing something on, you know, and on each side, and you can see it from that. That's the HRC one on the latest spec bike.
It's interesting because, as you say, I picked up on it as well, and they've been doing a lot of running with that bike. Obviously, they're going to do a lot of running with the 24.
They're staying on that machine, meaning they only came here with the 24 versions, but that new one, they're not bothering with the Valencia one anymore. They're focusing, so I think they like it. It's another step forward.
Well, good progress from Honda. Very, very encouraging to hear. It's good to hear that Honda and Yamaha are taking good advantage of those concessions and already making an impact. Now,
I'm rather excited about this.
Let's go and do this, because this is going to be a good one.
About this man as we walk over. 1993, my first year in the World Championship paddock, even though it was two strokes, I got a job in Tech 3 riding a 250 Suzuki only because John Kosinski and that manufacturer fell out. John left. I didn't know what I was doing. I was brand new here, learning all the tracks. The team put me in there. Where John Kosinski went was to Kachiva. This man, it's the first time I heard about this man and met him, Romano Albeciano. He is the GG of Aprilia. He's the technical director oversees all the technical areas of the Aprilia, which has been damn impressive in the last 3 years, their steps. But this is one of the real men behind that, and I'm really pleased we get to chat with him. And like I said, Kosinski went to Cagiva, working with him, and they won 2 Grand Prix, which was astounding. So let's go.
Yeah, let's wander over then and have a look, because we do have a very special thing that Romano's actually going to run us through as well. You may have seen it yesterday, it certainly caught some attention. The aero rake setup that was on the back of the Aprilia yesterday. So I'll hand over to Simon and Romano to run us through it.
Really good, Romano. I've just been explaining my first year in the paddock. You were with the Cagiva effort where John, who I replaced, went and you won 2 races. Before we have a chat about that, you must have incredible amount of experience in that period. And I was explaining your technical director. Can you explain before this a little bit about your job?
My job, well, I'm managing a fantastic group of engineers, technicians, mechanics, and riders. And well, more or less, we design a bike from scratch. We build the parts. Most of them are built by our suppliers around the world. And then we assemble, test, develop, and then at the end, the last stage of the process is bring the stuff here for the show.
Brilliant. And part of the show yesterday we were enjoying was this part here. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was standing up on the back of the motorcycle. Yeah. I think most people have seen is it facing that way, is it? Yeah. Yeah. And can you explain what it does?
It's just a set of pressure transducers. So every one of these, let's say, holes is connected via these small tubes to a pressure transducer. So at the end, you acquire a map of the total pressure behind the rider. So you have a map of the, let's say, disturbances that the rider and the motorcycle produce on the floor. And this is useful not for just having this picture, but is necessary in order to check if the computational fluid dynamics program that we use to design the bike, they are saying the truth or not.
To check, yeah, double check, yeah, on the results. Romano, before we let you go, I would love to hear your opinion on, I've seen how the test is going for Aprilia. I've seen they were on both the 23 and 24 and back and forwards yesterday, the machine, and then looks today that they're focusing your riders on the 24.
Well, it is our usual procedure to bring, at the first test, to bring the latest spec of the previous year bike and compare with the new prototype. So we let the rider get used again to riding. And then when everything looks okay, they jump on the new bike and start the comparison. It's always a crucial moment because has to be better. The new bike has to be better. So we are in this kind of process now.
And just to let the listeners know what the riders said last night was, it felt very different. They couldn't run the same geometry settings because of the different pressure from different wings, etc. But it was really promising because of the speed immediately. Do you agree with what they said?
Yeah, this aero development apply huge forces on the motorcycle, and we have to find the correct balance that has to be coupled with the mechanical balance of the bike. So this is something quite new for our world of motorcycling, no? And it's very, very, let's say, exciting, challenging, and difficult. So we are in this process, as I said before. Alessio already exploited this morning in a very good, unbelievable uptime, and Maverick and Miguel are still in the process, but they feel the potential, and it's becoming more difficult to set the bike now.
Romano, really appreciate your time. I'm glad, I have to add, that you chose to say yes to this, and the listeners got to see what I know is that you're a gentleman, really clever, and thank you for doing that.
Ciao. Ciao.
So fantastic insight there then from Romano Albesiano just about the aero rake setup that they have been using here at the Sepang test. Incredible to hear how they're using it to kind of cross-reference against what they see in the CFD simulations, and we know that the aero world in MotoGP is only getting more and more complex, and again another indication of that happening.
Just to explain in a really simple way what he was meaning there, because I do understand it from a rider's point of view, is, for example, the balance of the bike is super important. That is the majority of what riders work on to get comfortable on track, okay? The balance, which is done by springs, preload, and ride heights, okay? More front weight, less, like, until you get the sweet spot. It's a compromise between braking, accelerating, turning, okay? And you get that sweet spot, but then you put a big wing on it, it changes that balance completely. And that's the mechanical and aero balance they're trying to find.
Yeah, Maverick yesterday was saying about the new aero that it was just impressive. That was all he could say for it. It was just completely different feeling on the bike. Obviously, as you say, going to affect the balance, and no doubt about it that they've, as you say, they had to change their geometry setting to be able to get it to work and make it feel normal again. I mean, just incredible how much, when you change the aero, it just changes everything entirely with how the bike works.
Yeah. And before you move on with what we need to do next is, I'm so glad, I'm genuinely happy that Romano, we get to talk. We'll keep trying to do this, because a lot of these very clever people behind the scene are lovely people. They don't always like to communicate, like to go on our shows or whatever, but they're absolute gentlemen. They're really quite open about what they do because they're so interested. I've always found the very best are happy to share the information. They love it. They're just excited, and he's one of those men. It was great to hear from him.
Yeah, Aprilia more so than most are always open and willing to give us some explanations. Paolo Bonora included in that incredible explaining in great detail. Now, we are kind of running out of time, so we'll pretty much wrap this up. One key point of interest that you might be interested in is Marc Marquez today. Again, not a flashy day, but we're not expecting that from Mark just yet. He is slowly getting... Oh, were you? Okay, go on then.
Well, no, but we normally see Mark come out and attack, and at this one we haven't.
Maybe tomorrow?
I think that he's doing it on a calculated plan. He's on his feelings. He doesn't want to, for example, do a Frankie Morbidelli and have to miss tests, and that sets your whole season back.
Yeah.
He's really methodically stepping forward, and I'll be very surprised if he's not fast at the end of this test. Wow. And for sure fast at the end of Qatar test.
Oh.
But all I'm saying, I think he's doing a calculated plan, and good on him.
Well, it does seem that way. I have to say, in his debrief last night, I thought he looked a little bit timid, maybe a bit sheepish. Wasn't too sure why. Obviously didn't have the best day yesterday, but I think once Mark gets that spark in him that he feels he knows how to ride that bike, then it's game on. Game on from there. That's going to do it then for us here at this midday recap. We know it's been a little bit of a long one, but certainly a very good one, and thanks to our special guests as well included in this. Don't forget that this evening at 5:30, GMT +1, I do believe, so in about 3 hours' time, we'll be live with After the Flag. Once again, Lewis Sotheby and Elliot York hosting that one, and of course, Simon Crafar and myself will be joining in at some points as well. 30 minutes before the end of the session, that one kicks off live on MotoGP.com. So make sure you don't miss that one. But from us here at the Midday Live on day 2 of the Sepang test, that's going to do it from us. Bye for now.
Bye.